Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It is game number 3 here at the ESL IEM Shanghai C qualifiers replay cast that I am going to have just completed after we finish this particular game. It is a best of 3, of course, and we've had a scoreline of 1-1 between these two. It was a really good game number 1, and then game number 2, great reactions from both players, reading the game really well. Down at the bottom left-hand side of Star Station, of course, the wonderful Protoss-y looking map. It is our green Protoss player from Team Flash. It is Blysk. And his opponent, top right-hand side, a terror of the Zerg race, of course. He can brutalize anyone in his path. It is Frenetic Arrays, Petraeus. Now these guys, just to give some further background, if you missed game 1, obviously go and watch game 1. I don't know what you're doing in game number 3 if you missed game 1, but go watch game number 1 where I was talking about what this was for. As I said, it's for the IEM Shanghai qualifiers. We had 8 players in stage 2 of this of the event last weekend, being the weekend of the 6th, 7th, and 8th, I think, or something like that. I don't know the dates, but we were live casting, myself and Death from NV. We had a lot of fun casting the event, and yeah, we got to stage 2, which consisted of 8 players, including Pig, Moonglade, Blysk, Ninja, Pokerface, Rossi, Petraeus, and Aegis. And it was a wonderful Sunday afternoon of StarCraft casting. And yeah, as I said in game number 1, if you missed it, you can go and check out the details. Sorry, you can go and watch some of the live VOD over at twitch.tv/ESL_Australia. And of course, a big thanks to the ESL guys for letting me cast the event. It was really cool. But yeah, so this was one of the unbroadcast games, as in live, obviously, which is why I wanted to jump on some of these and have a quick look, because Bliss said there were some interesting games, and I may grab some of the other replays from the event and do a couple of casts. It depends. I'll have a look and see if there are any really interesting matchups, and we'll have a look at those. But yeah, we're into game number 3 here. So in game number 1, we saw Bliss go for a cannon rush and then into a very nicely protected 3-base sort of style of his Protoss there. Added in a 4th, got that running as well, and had his Storms, his Void Rays, and Colossi, and all those kinds of things that you normally see at a mid to late game Protoss army, and was just generally able to walk over Petraeus, who did his best to be prepared for that kind of thing, but unfortunately did not have enough. And in game number 2, we got to see what looked to be an interesting 2-2 timing from Blysk, where he attempted to move out with a couple of upgrades done on his ground units, but unfortunately he was intercepted by some Mutalisks from Petraeus, who was able to slice up the mineral lines of each of the bases and induce a really interesting base race, where unfortunately Blysk just did not have enough to deal with Petraeus quickly enough, nor did he have enough to turn around and deal with the Mutas, because of course, you know, without any Archons or Storms or anything like that, it becomes very hard to deal with a Mutalisk ball in a base race. And, you know, that said, it wasn't a massive amount of Mutalisks. It was only, I think it was about 15 or 16, but it's still more than enough, considering Blisk's army mainly consisted of things like Immortals and Sentries, and there were a few Stalkers about, but just not enough. So it did go the way of Petraeus in game number 2. Here in game number 3, interesting opening here from Blysk. He's doing something which I see Root Gaming Succeed do quite a lot, which is to open up with a 1-gate expansion, put down a Forge, and then a Stargate as part of your wall-off. An interesting kind of way to open up as a Protoss, just to, well, you know, just pretty much put it in the face of the Zerg. Hello, I've got a Stargate. I'm going for a Stargate opening here. So Petraeus will know what's going on. This allows him to say, all right, that's cool. I know you're going to be able to, you know, threaten with Phoenix and possibly a Void Ray, something like that. But what that means I can do is that because there is no early gateway pressure coming, a la 3 gates or 4 gates or something like that, it means that I can put the 3rd base down and we're all good, because I've already got speed on the way, and all he'll need to do is throw down a Spore or 2 just to make sure that the Phoenix can't get too much damage done. So Petraeus is going to be feeling comfortable at the moment here. The Mothership Core just poking about, trying to find a couple of lings. Should be able to chase after these two. You can assume that he's going to go after the Zelnaga Watchtower. So yeah, Blysk rightly heads over there and is going to put a couple of shots in those lings. Gets one, then says, alright, that's enough work for me today, and heads back home. Or does he? sort of yes and no. Just both players just sort of dancing around that watchtower here. But yeah, I'm interested to see how Blysk is going to go ahead with this. He does have one Phoenix already out. There is no second Phoenix. All right. No second Phoenix because he is going straight for the third base. We're going to throw this Nexus down at the 7:15 mark or thereabouts. And this is going to be a pretty quick third base from him. So he's sort of... I don't think I've actually seen anyone do it this way. When I mentioned Succeed from Root Gaming, he does it a little bit differently. But as you can see, Petraeus is going to scout out what's going on. Too many lings here. He can probably even force a cancel, I would say. He's going to poke away at that pylon here. He's going to go for the next pylon as well. The Mothership Core will do its best to try and fend off those lings, but basically at this point, it's going to be very hard for Blysk to actually get that base up. Petraeus, recognizing his opponent wants a very fast third base, is going to build up a huge bunch of lings. And now, as we can see, they're going to head in here. And while Blysk is able to get a cannon inside that little hidey hole, as he did in the previous game, the lings are still going to be able to go to work on this Nexus. It's just too much surface area here. We can see the lings are just, they've got all the space in the world to go after the Nexus. And despite the Mothership Core's best intentions, more lings will arrive, and that'll force a cancel. There's no real way to save this. So Blysk is forced to cancel his attempted third. We can see the Stargate has not done anything since pumping out that first singular Phoenix. So there is just the one air unit out for Blysk at the moment, not counting his Mothership Core. Whereas for Petraeus, he's got a Spire on the way. It looks as if we will get some more mutas. Mutas are, I think they're a nice kind of unit to have on this map, just because, again, very similar to Whirlwind. You can bounce in and out of that third base, down towards the main as well, and then just come straight back up. You can also head across to the natural, come through this backside here, attack in there, head back out, run across to the main, or even come back into the natural and do all sorts of damage there. So I think it's a good decision to pick up the Muta Tech. It's going to be coming along very soon. Blysk, however, I think he's finally going to get this up. Petraeus sees that there's a couple of cannons there. Not going to have a fun time trying to get that Nexus down. So he's going to be, you know, content to let Blysk have that one. He says, all right, you can have that one, buddy. I've got my 3 bases. There's 3 base economy of gas coming, well, almost 3 base economy gas coming in. We've only got 2 in this in the second extractor there, but the 4th now on the way for Petraeus, and he's going to be comfortable to pick up a whole bunch of mutas. As his gas starts to flow in, we can see that his gas income looking pretty good, around about 600 gas coming in, and with Blysk on around about 500, he's going to have a little bit of a harder time getting up the anti-muta tech, which of course will normally be something like Phoenix, and I think we did see on the production tab that the Templar Archives is also just finishing up. Where is that? That's... there it is. So, yeah, he does have the Templar Archives. No Storm is done yet, but we do have 1-1 on the upgrades. +2 to weapons also on the way. And Petraeus says it is time to try and harass this Nexus again. A couple of really nice force fields, just sort of blocking off some of this surface area here, meaning that Petraeus was not able to attack as much as he would have liked to. And again, Blysk with a really cute little wall off here, just covering all sides, making sure that the lings cannot get in. And then there's a simple cannon just at the back down here, just one cannon that's going to protect a lot of this area here. We can see that is going to protect all that backside there. And this base should be pretty well secured for the time being for Blysk. So it looks like Petraeus is finally getting his muta count up to a decent number, and even just comes in through the back. Planetary Fortress Nexus activates. The Link's going to try and do what they can at the third, but no real way in there. You can see them just darting around trying to find the front door, but it is over here behind 2 cannons. Muta's now coming along. They may be intercepted by the Pimp Fist of an Archon. Throws it up there. Does a lot of damage. And Petraeus is just, it looks as if, yeah, he's just going to continue the muta production. 4 more on the way. We've got another 7 drones being added so that he can get this 4th base up and running as he would like. We can see a Baneley nest being added in, interestingly. Also, the melee weapons being added on as well, so that those mutas and, the lings are going to be doing a lot of damage here. We can see that some lings have somehow made their way inside the natural base, going to try and pick off some of the cannons while the mutas go to town on the mineral eye there. Very nicely done by Petraeus. He forces out another photon overcharge on the Nexus. The lings will be taken care of though, and behind all of this, Petraeus is still just getting all his tech together, adding in a couple of corruptors. I like that little addition there. He's seen that Blysk is going for some Phoenix, and you know, Phoenix are really, they're obviously like a hard counter to Mutalisks in a way, but if you add in some Corruptors, the Corruptors are very tanky, they deal a lot of damage, and they can sort of take some shots for your mutas while the mutas sort of go to work on the rest of the buildings here. So We can see now, Petraeus opens up the back door to that base. Blysk will probably try and get that back down again, I would assume. There he goes. So he is going to add the little bit of the extra part of the wall back up there. Petraeus trying to... Where are these lings going? I'm not really sure where those lings are off to, but the Phoenix have found a nice little zone to try and pick off some of those mutas, and they do a really good job with that. We can see now that Petraeus is up to a total of 88 drones. We're going to have 5 bases mining gas very soon. Here they come. And the mutas and the lings are just going to occupy Blysk while he tries to set up his tech. But Blysk, I mean, he's got a really decent force together, especially the Phoenix, but I mean, on the ground, it's a very minimal kind of force. We've got a few Archons out. We can see the Void Rays here as well. Archons have got 102 on their upgrades. Meanwhile, for Petraeus, he's got +1 on his ground upgrade, or just about to get +1 on the melee attacks to Carapace. We can see +1 Flyer Carapace also researching as well, along with Baneling's speed. So he's going to go for something a little bit more, that is a little bit more uncommon to see, which is a Mutiling Bane style, or at least I don't get to see it too often. And he's going to try and use the fact that Mutiling Bane is a very, very, very mobile kind of style. He's going to try and take advantage of the fact that his lings can run around very quickly, harass the Protoss, and just try and keep him back while Petraeus sets up all of his economy. With a 6th base now on the way, Petraeus is going to be looking very, very handsome when it comes to his income. And now, as we can see, we've got a few more Protoss upgrades on the way from Blysk. He's trying to get out some +1 to the air attack, and the shields are also on the way, but Petraeus running by the 3rd base is going to come straight in. Says, alright, there's not much defense here, going to go to town on all of these probes. We can see the worker kill talent continues to climb, and Blysk is going to have a very, very hard time trying to deal with this. In fact, the Phoenix have to be very careful there. The Corruptors just will do so much damage, but Petraeus is actually the one caught out of position. But while that's all going on, the Lings now trying to bust through the front door of the Natural. Going to be able to, well, they were going to be able to get inside, but there's a few too many cannons, a couple too many Zealots as well. And as we can see, the Phoenix just continuing to chase after these Corruptors. They should turn around. Not a good idea to try and fight that many Corruptors. As we can see, Blysk lowering the Phoenix count there. And while all this is going on, Blysk doing an excellent job trying to get his 4th up and running. I mean, the small issue he has at the moment is that he's down to 61 probes. Maybe a few more would be quite nice, but a DT has found its way into the 5th base. They're now at the 4th as well. If he can take down the 2 hatcheries that we can see Petraeus has established, then he can really hold Petraeus back for quite a while Blysk is able to set up his own 4th base. I like that addition there. He takes out the hatchery, got the hatchery at the top side as well. He's going to check this extra little base just in case, but there is nothing there. So Blysk has been able to buy himself some time with those DTs. He's now got High Templar coming in. The Storm has not been researched. I'm a little bit I'm not sure if he's forgotten that. I would say he's forgotten that at this point. He's had that Templar Archive for a very long time. He has been investing in the Phoenix to try and deal with the mutas as well, but when it comes down to it, it's much better to have the Storm in the end. Now, as we can see, Blysk is going to have... There's just so much trouble going on across the map here for Blysk. His mutas of... the mutas of Petraeus have drawn Blysk across to the left-hand side of the map. Baneling's now going to try and roll through to bust open the front door. While that's all going on, Blysk's 4th base is under threat. Lots of Lings attacking in there. The mutas and the Banes all rolling around, trying to find some sweet spots to just annihilate everything. And the Banes make their way through into the mineral line here. They take out a couple of Zealots, which is not exactly what they were trained for. But while this has happened, the 4th base is pretty much dead. And while Petraeus has lost some of his economy as well, as we can see, his income, in fact, we can do this, his income is not exactly where he would want it to be at the moment. He has enough, and he's with his units just controlling the 4th base down at the bottom side here. Blysk he's gonna have to I don't know, I think we're gonna have to just try and pump up a big final attack force. He's got +3 on the way, and his Storm is also researching. So I would say once our Storm is done, which should coincide relatively nicely with +3 to weapons, he can probably go for just a big push here. But because Petraeus is just controlling so much of the tempo of this game. He's up at 121 army supplies. We can see down the bottom there, lots of mutas are out on the map. We've got a total of 35 mutas out. We can see that there are a few Corruptors added in as well. They, as we said, just for tanking up some of the Phoenix, but you know, Blysk he's starting to look a little bit scary himself. Once the +3 weapons completes, the Stalkers are going to be quite dangerous, as are these Archons. But Blysk, you know, he's having trouble with that fourth. He still has not been able to establish it right now. We can see that Storm and +3 to weapons just about to finish up here. And while we can see some Banelings rolling through, unfortunately Banelings do not trade very well when it comes to Archons, and that is a very wasted Baneling force there for Petraeus. So he's going to, it looks as if, are we going to... He sort of dropped down quite a lot in his drone count due to those DTs earlier on, but I mean, he hasn't really looked to try and boost that back up. I think he's just making sure that he does have enough to defend against this possible push that is coming up from Blysk, and you know, Blysk has got his +3. We've got Blink just about to finish up. If he can micro the Stalkers about to try and target down some of the Corruptors, I would like to see that. Or perhaps just make sure that these Archons are in the front to tank up the Banelings that are around about the map as well. He can, he certainly can win this battle. Like, that's the thing. His composition, it's looking pretty good. It's just that, you know, is it enough? That is the question. So Mutas will find a few stray Zealots here at the 4th base that are looking to secure the 4th, but now the Probe's heading across, and the Probes are going to go down. Banelings and Lings finding everything here. Blysk unfortunately not able to get a Storm down before the Banes were able to rip apart some of the units on the ground, and the Storms a little bit unsuccessful here, and Blysk is going to have to deal with the Corruptors at the front. The Phoenix are in extremely low numbers at this point. Where are the rest of the Phoenix? Did they just die? Yeah, it's just down to the 2 Phoenix. The Corruptors just so incredibly good at dealing with those guys. And Blysk is now on what looks to be the final warpath right now. His economy has been brought into just absolute tatters right now. That said, Petraeus has almost lost all of his mining at the natural. The main is gone, and now his 5th base is also gone. So if Blysk can, you know, if he can just maybe buy some time for now to get his own 4th up and running, I would say he's in a pretty decent spot. But I mean, Petraeus has just got so many Mutas up in the air. We can see that there is a total still of 35 Mutas, 9 Corruptors acting as a buffer for them, and Petraeus is looking to come through and perhaps take out this 3rd base, but the Lings coming in to surround the Archons. Will they be able to get enough damage here? The Archons, their Pimp Fist is absolutely huge. The Templar, no Storms available, lots of Archons though, and Petraeus will be forced to back off for now. And again, Blysk is able to get himself some time. Just maybe a few more cannons, just laying them down here to protect this base, and he may be able to bring his economy back into shape here to get himself back in the game. But Petraeus has now got Ultras on the way. 3 upgrades are now researching along with chitinous plating and adrenal glands. Whereas for, as we can see, oh, is this Nexus going to go down? If that goes down, then that certainly could be game right there. No, he's forced him back. Very nicely done by Blysk. Just a couple of cannons here, Blysk. Come on, just to, you know, just even as a buffer. They don't have to actually kill Mutas. They just have to, you know, take some fire, act as a buffer. There it is. Very nice. In fact, he's going to add it in as a nice little piece of wall here to protect the base. So he is going to add that in right now, adds in a couple of gates, a couple of cannons, and Blysk is he's starting to really bring it back. He's starting to stabilize right now. He's up to a total of 148 supply. Will he be able to keep his 3rd base up and running though? There are quite a few gates here. There's a little bit of Chrono Boost left over. He can add that in to research if he's got any going. In fact, we don't have any going. And we can see that there's a couple of Templar, a couple of DTs, sorry, just warping in around the map just to control some more space here as Blysk looks to just hold everything together. And if this base stays up, then he will certainly be in a good position, especially considering these Archons are around about. But now we can see the Ultras coming in, the Archons throwing up the Pimp Fist there, massive Storms, amazing job there by Blysk, and he tears apart a lot of the Mutas. They are forced out of there. The Muta count now finally brought down to a much more manageable number. 10 Mutas are out in the sky, 9 Banes, we've got 7 Corruptors, 7 Ultras, keep in mind, and you know, those guys are pretty dangerous. They've got 4-3, they're about to get 5-3, and here they come. Is Blysk a little bit out of position? His Stalkers having to blink across to the side, the Templar a little bit slow to the party, and it looks like Blysk is going to lose all of those units here. The Corruptors have done an excellent job against the units up in the sky. The Ultras have just destroyed everything on the ground, and Blysk has lost a lot of his power in this game. He's now down to 88 supply, and Petraeus is going to take a very comfortable position right now. He has only just restarted this 5th base right here, and is mining at the 3rd and the 4th is starting to taper off just a little bit, but he has just taken such control with these Ultras down on the ground. So Blysk is forced to head towards Void Rays now. We can see those guys there, but the Corruptor's already out, and obviously there are already some mutas out in the sky which can help out with dealing with Void Rays. So that was really, you know, he has been able to hold this fight back for now with DTs, Stalkers, and a couple of Void Rays. But you know, does Blysk have time to get out the remaining units that he needs to actually finish off this game? Because Petraeus soon is going to be able to add in perhaps a couple more drones. He's sort of at 60. He should be okay actually now that I think about it. So he comes forward. He's going to add in a few more Banes. There is a couple of Queens approaching from behind. They can of course help out with transfusers. But Blysk looks like he is going to lose his 4th base. The Nexus goes down, and now Blysk coming in from the side. Will he be able to do enough damage? Archon's at the front tanking. The Corruptors do so much damage to the few Void Rays up in the sky, and I would say that is about it for Blysk here in this best of 3. Game number 3 has been very back and forth between these two. Blysk able to get some really good kills off with DTs, but it was just enough from Petraeus to hold it all together, get the Ultralists out, the Corruptors up in the air, and all those extra units that he has added in as well. So very nicely done by Petraeus. So as we said, if you want to catch some of the live VODs from the weekend, it was, as I said, July the 6th that we had the event. So you can jump onto twitch.tv/ESL_Australia and have a look there. Otherwise, please feel free to stay subscribed to my channel here on YouTube. Also, jump onto facebook.com/duckville.casting. Would love to see you all over there, and I'll catch you all next time. Very standard and won't throw out crazy stuff too often. So we will see this, the 11-minute timing, the Mothership Core, going to have a quick look and see what she can find in there, but a couple of Marines will poke about and try and defend against that. So we can see that the stim is now on